Globally, pattern industrial has been characterized by significant imbalance. Women remain underrepresented in top positions, often facing barriers that hinder participation and advancement. This disparity not only limits the potential of women to contribute to the world economy, but also deprives us of diverse perspectives essential for sustainable growth and innovation. In Nigeria, the statistics concerning women's participation in our industry, especially from our 2021 report, and I do hope 2022 report and 2023 report should be updated and not say something different. Shows that employees across 56 companies in the oil and gas and mining sector, in the oil and gas industry, 32% are men, representing 51,639 workers, while women constitute only 18%, representing 3,532 of the entire workforce in the sector. This figure falls significantly short of the national average of 5% female workforce participation that is required at the minimum. This disparity becomes even more pronounced at the managerial level. The top high-level management positions in the industry, all the top management positions in the industry have been dominated and occupied by men, highlighting a critical lack of gender balance in decision making. At the federal level of governance, women's representation at the federal level has also seen some remarkable progress, but there's not much more needs to be done. While there have been notable appointments of women to ministerial positions and other key positions, I think you've been following the drama going on in the National Assembly and the sentiments. The sentiments are only when they look at the number of women that are represented at that chamber, and then losing one of them within a day or two has become a matter of national debate. And then that is why the day is a day for reflection on the imbalance in terms of representation at the level of decision making. And when we speak like this, we are not speaking grammar. There is always a benefit to have your own right at the table where decisions are being made. Very important. If you are not there, no one else can speak to you for you better than yourself. So we have more women at the center of decision making. The likelihood that issues concerning women will be much more taken seriously. The recognition of the need for greater inclusion, mentorship, and inspiration to women at the level. We have invited as our special guest for today, distinguished women who are going to serve as guest speakers. I have no doubt that if you're listening, you keep on to things that will strengthen your resolve to rise to the top. But everyone will hear that Dr. Ahmed Osakwe, Osakwe is a legal personality, a member of very important committees in the Nigerian Bar Association, a trailblazer in women advocacy. She currently serves as the General Counsel and Director of Legal Services at the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority, popularly known as Sovereign Wealth Fund. Beyond her national role, she holds a historic position as the President of the International Federation of Women Lawyers, becoming one of the few Nigerians to lead that organization in the global level. Her leadership in gender advocacy, legal reforms, and governance has empowered many women to break barriers and claim rightful positions in decision-making positions. She will share insights on the legal and policy framework that can promote gender equality, workplace rights, and inclusive governance in Nigeria's extractive sector. Dr. Ahmed Osakwe has also been carefully chosen, a respected expert in governance, economic policies, and sustainable development. Her experience in leadership and institutional reforms is invaluable. Dr. Sakwe will engage 90 women on leadership strategies, career progression, and the importance of gender inclusive policies in a work environment. These accomplished women are here to inspire, educate, challenge us to think critically about the role of women in national development. Key focus areas for Haiti women as we celebrate this year's Women's Day are many. One will be on leadership and career development, providing mentorship strategies for women to rise to decision-making positions in extractive industry. Rising to position of leadership is not always easy. You might be 10 or 20 or 100 recruited, but maybe only a few will rise to the top. And the job is not for the strongest, neither is it for the brightest, neither is it for the most experienced. It requires other dynamics that you can't explain. To be one first among equals is always a tough battle. And it's a battle that is constantly evolving. And it's a battle that no one person wins easily without a lot of compromises and knowledge. Workplace equity and rights are also the areas we'll look at today. Educating women on workplace rights, gender responsive policies, and how to navigate personal challenges without undermining and ruining what you have already achieved. This morning, I was listening to a lot of opinions on exactly what has transpired in the Senate. Some are arguing against, and some are arguing for. Why this topic is important? Because it involves the girl child. And then also, it's also happening in a very clear, and it's coincidentally happening at the dawn of an international celebration for women's rights. So many who have listened have been quite very enlightening, and it's important we follow the debates very closely because there are lessons to learn. One is how to obey rules and regulations in which you are part and parcel of. And again, it's when those rules are applied, how would they be applied fairly and passionately to solve problems? Those are the issues that have dominated the debate. And it's a lesson that we need to, because the Senate is also a workplace where rules and regulations guide and abide. So we must follow the debate as we also celebrate this year's Women's Day. Networking and advocacy, building a strong network of women who support and uplift each other while advocating for policy changes that promote gender inclusion and gender education. Capacity building and skills development. On a wider scale, we'll be looking at the case for wider space inclusion and gender equity in women's rights. How do we implement inclusive policies that allow and promote women's rights? How do we foster supportive culture in a work environment that allows us to unite and live in a family that's driven by hard work and productivity with zero tolerance to policies that seek to promote discrimination and harassment? Conclusion. As we deliberate today, let us reaffirm our commitment to creating a more inclusive and equitable society by ensuring that women have equal opportunity to participate and lead in the extractive sector and governance. We not only uphold the principles of fairness, but also unlock the full potential inherent in women in contributing to the development of our country. I therefore welcome you once again and look forward to your participation, attention, and constructive engagement in the discussions that will follow. Once again, happy Women's Day.
It's another round of applause for Dr. Oji. Another round of applause. That statistics on women representation in the oil, gas, and mining sector is very thought-provoking. 82% men, and 18% women. I've just been told that Mrs. Ini Mfon Etuk, founder She Forum Africa, is in our midst. Welcome. She was on the Native Civil Society Steering Committee, the immediate past one, even though she never attended our meeting. I think, we can talk about women leadership, but again, it's about also taking those responsibilities very seriously. How many times? I managed that for I know. And I was so happy when she drew my attention. Don't recognize me again. I told her, hey, it further, shows that I would have wanted you to participate more because we had you there for a reason. But you're still going to come on board again. Thank you for coming. And then I also have Chibuzo Nwosu, and she's the past Abuja branch chairperson in FIDA, the International Federation of Women Lawyers. Please wait. Thank you for coming. Okay, and then I've just been told that Halima Buhari, the representative of the Director General, National Council on Climate Change, is also in our midst. Please, can you come up? We have a seat at the table here. Thank you very much. So we're going very quickly to good old messages, and we're starting with Dr. Erika Danladi, who is Dr. Erika Danladi. She is the civil society representative and chair of the Native Communications and Civil Society Steering Committee of the Native Board. But she'll be speaking to via Okay. So I've just been told that Mrs. Isigwe is the one who will be delivering that good old message. Yeah.
Distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, and all the incredible women gathered here today. It is with great joy and a deep sense of responsibility that I extend my goodwill message on this special occasion of International Women's Day of 2025. This year's celebration is another opportunity to reflect on the progress we have made in advancing gender inclusion in the extractive industries, and to reaffirm our collective commitment to breaking barriers that hinder women in full participation in this vital sector. The theme of this year's International Women's Day, Accelerate Action, reminds us that achieving gender equality is not just a moral obligation, but a necessity for national development. Women have consistently demonstrated competence, resilience, and leadership in the oil, gas, and mineral sectors. Yet, they remain underrepresented in decision-making roles. This definitely must change, and NITE, through its reports, policies, and engagements, is playing a crucial role in driving that change. We also need to recall a visionary woman motivator, late Mrs. Mariam Babangida, for her efforts and vision to create the Better Life program for rural women. which turned out to be a catalyst for the empowerment and elevation of women in prominent positions in Nigeria. As the representative of women on the 90 National Stakeholders Working Group, NSWG, I am particularly proud of 90's commitment to promoting gender-responsive governance in the extractive sector. Through deliberate policies and advocacy, we are ensuring that more women have access to opportunities for growth, leadership, and economic empowerment in a sector that has historically been male-dominated. This seminar provides a valuable platform for dialogue, knowledge sharing, and strategic collaboration. It is my hope that today's discussions will further inspire actionable steps towards building an inclusive industry where women thrive. I encourage every woman here to continue pushing boundaries, seizing opportunities, and supporting one another in our collective quest for a more equitable society. We're also recognizing late Mrs. Emily Ike Imokweden, past president 1988 to 1993 of NCWS, National Council for Women's Societies, for her efforts in liaising with political leaders and stakeholders to ensure that women have gender equality and inclusivity in political offices at all levels. On this special day, I celebrate every woman in 90, the extractive sector and beyond. Your contributions are invaluable and your voices matter. Let us continue to work together to shape a future where gender equality is not just a goal, but a reality. Happy International Women's Day. I thank you all.
It's a round of applause for Engineer Mrs. Igwe. I didn't know she was one that would be delivering this, and I want to apologize for the mix-up, but she was the first female president of Nigerian Association of Women Engineers, and she is also on the Native board. Oh, at the general level. Okay. So she's well versed and well positioned to have believed that good role. So that was for her. You can see she's aging very, very gracefully, very, very gracefully. So I want to, at this point, invite Mrs. Tengi Koli to deliver a good role message on behalf of civil society organizations. Sometimes I wonder where to place you. Is it as a donor who gives us support or as civil society organization? So thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. My name is Tengi George Ikoli, and I'm representing the Natural Resource Governance Institute. I lead our work in Nigeria. I'm also the Global Council for the Publish What You Pay Network, the Executive Secretary, distinguished speakers, and honored guests. Welcome to you all. I wish to commend NATI for creating this platform for women to meet and exchange ideas and reflect on our role in the world on this walk towards and prepare towards International Women's Day tomorrow. At the Natural Resource Governance Institute, we recognize the importance of women in oil, gas, and mining space, specifically as this new paradigm shift towards the energy transition continues to evolve. It is important from our perspective that women who have oftentimes faced and experienced the most significant negative impact from the oil, gas, and mining extraction now take their place and ensure that they engage and demand for an inclusive and participatory implementation of Nigeria's energy transition plan and process, because as we transition, those who will be affected are those women, again, who have contributed to Nigeria's development but are often left behind. I'll call for each and every one of us to make sure that we put at the center, as we focus on this theme for accelerating action, to make sure that the mandate of Nigeria is defining and designing this path forward, that it puts women at the center of the decision-making processes. So I want to thank us all for being here, for lending our voice to important issues, especially the ones that I have articulated. And I want to put forward a call to action that we all make sure in our different spheres of influence that we advocate for the rights of women at all levels of government and all levels of our society. With that, once again, I want to thank NATI for this platform, and thank you all for listening and for engaging. And I look forward to a very active and engaging session.
Thank you very much, Tengi. A round of applause for her. And finally, I want to call up Hajia Halima Bawa Buhari, the representative of the Director General, National Council on Climate Change, to please deliver a good message.
Thank you, and I'm sorry I'm not one for plenty protocols. So forgive me for that, and everybody else that's here. I wasn't told I was going to give a goodwill message, but it's always there. On behalf of the Director General of National Council on Climate Change, Dr. Nkiru Kamadiweke, I wish to bring you her good wishes and her goodwill. And for myself, being the National Gender Focal Point for Climate Change, I'm very excited to be invited to a space like this where we talk about the empowerment of women and women's participation in whatever area of endeavor. For the National Council on Climate Change, of course, the extractive industry belongs in one of the NDC, the National Determined Contribution sectors, the oil and gas, and also perhaps the industry part. And we know that the extractive industry is a pretty difficult to participate area for women. So it's very nice to be able to see that some work is being done to ensure women participation and governance in this area. And you can be sure that the National Council on Climate Change, as the mandated entity for climate action in Nigeria, will be here to support you. We are very happy to have had a representative of yours at the biennial transparency report conclusion validation, which we submitted to UNFCCC. She was very active to see that there's that synergy in trying to join and streamline what you do at NATI with what the National Climate Change Action is. And we look forward to more collaborations and for you with you on climate action and mitigation for adaptation. Thank you so much and congratulations.
Thank you very much, Hajia Halima. At this point, I wanted to take a citation of our keynote speaker, Ms. Susan Wokorako, but Dr. Oji did justice to that. We just take it. Okay. Now, let me also just link this up that the Sustainable Development Goals, 17 in all, has goal 5 as gender equality, goal 10 as reducing inequality, has goal 13 as climate action, and then goal 6 as access to clean and renewable energy. What I'm trying to say is that even based on the treaties that Nigeria has signed to the Paris Agreement and all of that, we can see that there is an integration of all of these themes to bring about sustainable development in our policy. So right now, I want to invite Stephanie Depe. No, whenever I pronounce that, I think that's for breath. She's going to read the citation for our keynote speaker.
Good morning, everyone. I am honored to welcome our keynote speaker for the 2025 NACI International Women's Day event. She's a distinguished lawyer, gender rights advocate, and a governance expert. She brings decades of experience in legal practice, public service, corporate governance, and women's empowerment. Currently, serving as the General Counsel and Secretary to the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority, otherwise called Nigerian Sovereign Wealth Fund. She has been a driving force in shaping policy and governance frameworks in Nigeria. Her leadership extends to international platforms, where she was recently elected as the International President of the International Federation of Women Lawyers, FIDA, the fourth African to attain this climate position, as well as Nigerian to attain this climate position in history. She leads FIDA at a global level she leads FIDA at the global level towards and contributing in shaping women and gender policies around the world. She's a member of the Abia State Global Economy Advisory Committee and chair of the advisory board of the Nigerian Women Trust Fund. With us, she has put in numerous contributions, including her past roles as the national chairperson of the Society of Women in Taxation, council member of the Nigerian Bar Association, section in legal practice, an external advisor to the MacArthur Foundation on Nigerian program, as the delegate to the 2014 Nigerian National Conference. She played a key role in discussions on national development and governance, a dedicated wife, mother, a community leader, a distinguished career woman, both also a mentor to women in both public and private sector. Her unwavering commitment to empowering women, promoting transparency, and strengthening governance makes her a fitting speaker today. It is no other person than Ms. Ezinwa Okorafor. A round of applause and salute our will.
Thank you very much for the warm welcome. And the Executive Secretary, Dr. Oji Ogunaya Oji, Dr. Amede Osakwe, invited speaker, distinguished ladies, here present. Permit me also to recognize and appreciate my chairperson, my immediate past chairperson, Barrister Chibuzo Morimodi. Thank you. I particularly appreciate her because FIDA Abuja has two programs going on right now. So in being here with me, she's made a huge sacrifice. I appreciate you, my chair. Thank you. And may I respectfully request that I begin to observe all other protocol. So first of all, I'd like to thank NACI, and particularly NACI's Executive Secretary, Dr. Joboni Aoje, for the kind invitation to be part of the NACI 2025 International Women's Day celebration. And so let me share a few thoughts. This year's celebration holds a particular significance as it marks the 30th anniversary of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action. It also marks the 25th anniversary of the United Nations Security Council Resolution 1325 on women, peace, and security. This is also the 22nd year of the protocol to the African Charter on Human and People's Rights on the rights of women in Africa. This is popularly known as the Maputo Protocol. And Maputo Protocol is a landmark instrument which extends the rights of women far beyond what other instruments or the documents like CEDAW. CEDAW is the Convention for the elimination of discrimination against women. Okay? So Maputo Protocol goes even further than that. Then only recently, again, as an Africa initiative, in the month of February, last month, between the 16th and 18th of February, I think it was, the 38th ordinary session of the African Union Heads of Governments, Assembly of Heads of State and Governments held. And at that meeting, they adopted a convention on preventing and combating violence against women in Africa. This is in addition to the Maputo Protocol. And so, as we celebrate today and we reflect on these platforms and instruments, I think what it does for us is it offers us an opportunity to check how far have we gone, what more do we need to do. And these instruments establish the groundwork for advancing gender equality and empowering women globally. So today, as we celebrate these anniversaries, we are thankful for the work done. And then we go on to the theme for today, which is accelerating action. But before I delve into it, I'd like to congratulate NATI for organizing this celebration. It shows that NATI is an institution that has a healthy respect for and appreciation of its women. Can we give a round of applause to NATI? And I think because there are quite a number of organizations where the leadership feels that there's altogether too much noise about women. But there are those who tell you Women's Day again. How many Women's Days do they have in a year? Is everything about women? Okay? So NATI stands up as one of those organizations that understands the times and seasons. And I truly commend the vision and its leadership. Because, as John Maxwell has rightly said to us, everything rises and falls on leadership. So I am heartened by NATI's initiative celebrating this day. But to be honest with you, I am not surprised. Why? Because I know Dr. Jobunaya Oji, and he is somebody who, and you know, I was smiling when the he for she gentleman dressed in purple, far more purple than some of us. My own purple is my scarf. When he made the point about the steps Dr. Jobunaya took to ensure that today happened, and I thought, that's who he is, strategic organizer, committed, dedicated to the things that matter to him. So it's consistent with his style and his trajectory. So thank you again, Dr. Jobunaya. So the theme for today is Accelerate Action, and it calls for the rapid advancement in gender equality. It focuses, thank you, on recognizing strategies and tools that drive women's progress in education, employment, and leadership. And I dare say that this event is one of those strategies that serve to advance gender equality. Why do I say so? As we engage, we are going to hear things, or, be afforded an opportunity to think of certain things in different ways, come to a understanding or a better knowledge of what we can do to advance gender equality. Is it from something as basic as you being a parent and ensuring that both your male and female children are washing the cars, mowing the lawn, fixing the light bulbs, I know they're expecting to say wash plates. We'll come to that. Okay, but yes, so male and female children should be exposed to the same opportunities, to the same experiences. There is nothing as happening as a female who gets up and there's a job to be done and she does it. Or a male who comes in and there's something to be done in the house and he does it. But we'll get to that. So this is one of such strategies. And it was Ralph Waldo Emerson who said that the mind, once stretched by a new idea, never returns to its original dimensions. It is therefore my earnest hope and expectation that the ideas we share today will spark some elevating and empowering thoughts and reaction. I want to ask a favor. Stephanie, can you please help me get bits of paper? I'd like us to share paper to, it doesn't have to be a full sheet, it can be a third of the sheet, of the A4 sheet, okay, half or a third, to everyone who's here, because I'm going to have you write something, some points during, at some point in the course of this speech. So, although we witnessed significant advancements of women's rights globally in the area of civil, political rights, socioeconomic and cultural rights, and women have increasingly occupied leadership roles in politics and decision making, and I would say that is a bit of a caveat, it's not worldwide, because in Nigeria, the numbers instead of going up is going down. We've challenged historical norms, but in spite of these successes, many of the goals outlined in gender equality instruments remain unfulfilled. And guess what? New challenges have emerged. We must also confront the enduring realities where in many parts of the world, women continue to face systemic barriers, including violence, discrimination, and insufficient access to resources and decision making. So, this year's calls for action, accelerated action to achieve rapid advancement. And organizations like FIDA clearly will commit to doing what we can, going beyond what we have traditionally done to ensure that we accelerate action and ensure gender equality. I've been invited to speak on the topic, breaking barriers, leadership and career growth. And clearly this is drawn from the theme. But to address this, I need to ask some questions. What are the barriers, the limitations, the obstructions, the obstacles, the barricades, the impediments to women attaining leadership and achieving career growth? How can we remove or eliminate, or where we cannot eliminate, how can we quieten these obstacles so that they do not remain active impediments to gender equality? And how do we ensure that in so doing, we enhance the status of women, especially in relation to leadership and career growth? Let's touch on gender equality. What does gender equality mean? Gender equality is a situation where men and women, boys and girls enjoy the same rights, the same resources. They have access to the same resources. They enjoy the same opportunities and the same protections. So it's not because a person is male or female, there shouldn't be a difference. Everybody should have access to the same rights and opportunities. We will come to situations, and then let me put this forward because somebody will ask that in the question. So let me head you off. Somebody will ask, yes, so why do we insist on different So let me tell you one question somebody asked me. Yeah, so why, when we go to the airport, why do they insist that women's line should be different and women should go ahead? Several reasons. Beyond the opportunity, beyond the requirements to ensure that there's equal opportunity, you must also take into account, which is why those who protest say there's a discrimination in favor of women. But let me stop myself there. They protest, they say there's a discrimination in favor of women. But the truth of the matter is, on a global perspective, what do you see? How have the women fared compared to how the men have fared? How can you balance that out? So for something as basic as airport, like this is security, let's a female such a female so that there are no complications. Then let a male such a male so that there are no complications. And again, typically you find that there are fewer female passengers flying than male. I could speak to the economic implications of that. We can't be there for now. All right. So let's consider leadership statistics. I talked about it. We have a national gender policy which recognizes that women are underrepresented and provides for 35% representation of women. I am yet to see where this has been respected. I remember that when I served as FIDA country vice president, we made several efforts to see if we could push to get 35%. It didn't happen. Then the Nigerian Constitution in section 42, chapter 4, section 42, talks about discrimination. And what does that section say? I'll read it for you in a minute. Yes, sir. I'll find it in due course. Okay. It talks about a right to freedom from discrimination. There was a report undertaken by or carried out by that came out of work undertaken by the African Development Bank and the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. And they came up with an Africa Gender Index analytical report. And the report, published last year, said that there was progress, but that gender equality remains only half achieved. Now, I'm happy to note that, and I was reading about it, NATE also undertakes its own gender reporting, which is wonderful because what this means is that, you would typically expect that it is Ministry of Women Affairs that will focus on gender. So it is interesting when an organization like NATE, looking into the proper management of resources in the extractive industry, takes out time to say, what are the what are the gender statistics in Nigeria? And so NATE commissioned, but I'm preaching to the converted, it's your story, so you should tell me about it, the report that you worked on in collaboration with the Ford Foundation. And I say congratulations, NATE. Now, in relation to the work done by the African Development Bank Group, to achieve gender inclusive and gender equitable growth, certain actions were proposed, ensuring that economic opportunity is gender inclusive, thereby enabling gender equitable contributions to growth. And two, ensuring that participation in decision making at the household, community, and national levels is gender inclusive. So we say these things, we pay lip service to them, but in reality, how do we actively ensure that we have gender inclusiveness in the things we're doing at community level. I remember once doing one of those, I talked about the time I served as FIDA president. We talked about the gender equality bill. Everything was going well until somebody said, a woman can never be my leader in the National Assembly. And that was it. At that point, all the good work that had been done, you know how it is when you want to have a lot of power. You're doing a lot of engagement, a lot of advocacy. And I thought we're doing quite well. But when it got to that point, even some people we had spoken to privately who had assured us of support, once that sentiment was expressed, I'll use the popular Nigerian adage, the support entered voicemail. So I think that what it means for us, or what it says to us, is the fact that there is still a lot of work to be done. There is a lot of work to be done, but it's not. And a point I make to people is this: everything is achievable the minute you start looking at it from the individual perspective. If each and every one of us here says, I will go home and I will do this. I start with the first example I gave. I will go home and I'll ensure that both the boys and girls in my house do everything. We will not leave the washing of the dishes and the cleaning of the rooms to the girls while the boys do something else. We won't say girls cannot fix light bulb because they're girls. We will let them do that so they learn how to do it. From STEM technology, everybody's equipped to, be part of, be involved, participate in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. So why do we not expose our girls to the opportunities that allow, that encourage STEM education or a STEM disposition? So if each and every one of us starts from our homes doing that, by the time we leave the house, and we're getting into primary school, or our children are getting into primary school, these are things they're used to already. The fact that they will compete actively with people of the other gender. They get into secondary school, in university, all of that, it's taken for granted because they have lived that experience. Unlike where a child is formed in a certain way, and then you try in university or after university to tell them that, no, you cannot, everybody must have the same opportunities. They won't listen. They won't listen. I saw a very funny video on WhatsApp the other day. I can talk about it and I've sent it to you. There were 3 children who were going to school on an Okada. So the little one got on. I think in the family, the girl was the older, and a boy, then a girl. So the little girl got on the bike. And then when it got to the turn, and I think the oldest girl expected that they'd all sit according to their ages. The boy said, no, I'm the head of the house. I can't sit in the middle. You want it in the middle. It became a huge fight. Eventually, the younger one said, but he said, keep quiet. You mustn't speak to your elders like that. But so eventually, the young girl got on the bike and then he got on the bike behind her. While the Okada driver was going, he hit a bump and he fell off. So he started crying. Don't you know we're children? Why should you be riding like that? And they said, but you're the man of the house. So, but that's just to lighten it up. So, are the challenges that we see. And I am mindful of, I haven't prepared this as, a rigid speech. I wanted us to talk, to converse. People are able to take things away. Okay, instead of you just sitting and thinking, okay, how many pages of the speech has she read? Let's have a conversation. So, what are the challenges we find? And I'm limiting this to, I'm thinking of, I'm talking to Native women, not women across the world. We're talking to Native people. And what is Native? An organization established to ensure transparency in the management of resources. So when you work here, certain things are taken for granted. But we'll come to that. What are the challenges we see to gender equality, especially in terms of leadership and career growth? And I think of these as challenges. I try to think of things as challenges, not problems. First one is mindsets. And mindset includes the mindset of the female as well as the mindset of the male. So if you come out of a background where it's like, women can only, and I won't put our president, women are former presidents, women are only good for certain parts of work. You can be a nurse, you can be a teacher, you can't be an engineer, or, you can't do the technical stuff. If that is your mindset, there's nothing anybody can do for you. Okay? This is you as the woman yourself. Clearly, it's also, and it doesn't matter if the woman cannot be a leader. Very clearly, any intention, any effort to have a woman as a leader will be resisted. Then there's the issue of no expectations of self. Again, it's the same idea. What are you looking at? And are you willing to engage early enough to accomplish what it is that you need to achieve? Have you taken thought as to what you want to achieve and how it can be done? We have challenges of culture, tradition, religion. I went to an event the other day, and the typical in Igbo land, they're passing cola. I've learned to look away. So they come in, they had caught the cola. People offer me one to take was a problem. That's not okay. And we'll understand it better. Okay. So in general, there's a thought process that like I said, progress has been made, but I find in my experience that there are still places I go to. I'm still an international president, yes, but I go to places and there is the attitude of women are to be seen and not heard. So that your global FIDA president, that's one you put it in Colombia. Here where we are, you are to be seen, you're not to be heard. And that still prevails. And then in the message as if, you should be grateful for what you have. It's not about merits. It's just about as if, okay, you have gotten there, you should be grateful for it. And so a woman works hard and the attitude is, but that's what you should do. Then when they don't work hard, it's like So I had a driver once who made the grave mistake of driving past someone and say, that woman, my children's bones. Because they knew that you don't say that near me. So, well, it's as if they must be getting support from somewhere, beg. Okay? And they may have advanced through other means. Insist on taking the rightful thing. They're considered weak in Arabian. You too do. I was in an interview panel once, and a lady was being interviewed. And she stood her ground. They tried to keep her up, stood her ground. She left when the interview panel was now reviewing the interview. Don't you think she's too combative? You can't. Then you must give some things now. You can't argue every point. But she's showing you she's intelligent. She's understood the questions you asked. And she's telling you she's intelligent. But you're a woman now. When you come into a place, you show that you don't fight over everything. So those are the challenges. Those are the challenges, even in the professional setting. Okay? So the reality for a woman, and I know that I'm speaking to gentlemen who are here as well. But a woman's reality is that she has to do more than what the average person will do to get by. And with a majority of male folk, no offense intended, I'm just saying it as I've experienced it. And I talk about both superiors and subordinates. Sometimes even women, the expectation when a woman comes is, they size her up, what is she wearing? How is she looking? Okay, she comes in wearing Bond Street and she has her nails done. Okay, this one doesn't do anything. She does have a passion. Okay? And there's an element of surprise when she comes across as competent. She knows what she's talking about. I'm like, someone's a surprised person. And then one And give an answer, say the truth to yourself in your heart. If two people are competing for a position and you just see two people dressed up, a man and a woman, man dressed in a suit, looking very good, the woman dressed in a suit as well, looking good, maybe wearing her bow straight, with her nails all done, makeup in place. And there's a question about technical competence. They haven't said a word. They're just looking at the two of them. Who would you choose? Don't tell me, tell yourself. Okay? And this speaks to our unconscious bias. Because sometimes because of where we're coming from, sometimes because of our experiences, you don't even know that you have that bias. But it just plays out and it impacts the things that you do. Now, I'd like to encourage us. Every one of us has some unconscious bias or the other. It plays out in the workplace, it plays out in our social interaction. I'd like us to go back and read up on the subject of unconscious bias. Because when you are able to conquer your unconscious bias, you truly elevate yourself as a human being. So what works? For a woman in native, how can you advance? How can you ensure that you're, in terms of leadership and career growth, that you're on the path to advancing? So we talked about what NATI does. And I read up that the core values of NATI are partnership, professionalism, and teamwork. I actually have related with NATI in the past because I interacted with Tuga. And we worked together, we did a lot of work together. So when you are at the forefront of monitoring issues like transparency, corruption, what kind of a person must you be? You must be that person who does things right. You cannot call people to a higher level of sacrifice than you are willing to make. If you, as the native person, are not convinced and are not living the transparency, not corruption mantra, then really you shouldn't be here. You can't be here. Okay. So how do we ensure that for the native woman and the native man, that you are proceeding career-wise, professionalism, competence and results are key. And something my boss used to say to us, it's not about efforts, it's about outcomes, it's about results. So you shouldn't say that because there were many challenges, I didn't succeed. You should say, in spite of the many challenges, I succeeded. Not because of, but in spite of. In spite of the many challenges, I succeeded. Okay? Now, an organization like NATI will run professionally, will do performance management, which means you're going to have key performance indicators, you're going to do appraisals. So if you intend to advance in your career, you should actually sit down and find out what are the things I am meant to achieve? What are the strategies of NATI for the year? What are the KPIs, key performance indicators, that NATI has set for itself, management has set for itself for the organization, because these will be cascaded down. Where do I fit in? How am I achieving that? And give yourself targets on a monthly basis. How well am I doing? On a quarterly basis, how well am I doing? It's half year. How far have I gone? What are the challenges? Who do I need to speak with to ensure that I can achieve that which is expected of me? That is critical. And so, understand your KPIs, play to them. Secondly, you need to be strategic in your work. Focus on the important and impactful things, especially the ones that relate to your assessments. There's no point if in your KPIs, a certain item has a score of 10 out of 100. Then you abandon it and you're doing the one that has a score of 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 100. No matter how well you do in the one, it really doesn't impact your work. About accepting technology. Some of us are still quite suspicious of artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, Internet of Things, blockchain. Do we know what those things mean? We need to understand what those things mean and work with them so that we do not become obsolete. Because really, when things are happening, so you have a document to write or an inquiry to make, and you're struggling to go to the encyclopedia, and you're, lifting your finger and telling pages. You have a smartphone, and this is phone. You have a smartphone. You can actually get on your phone and you find the answers that you need. So why don't you equip yourself with the technology that you need, make it easier for you to do your work and get by. Then, knowing your stuff. What do you know that you know? What is crazy? What do you know that you know? What can they wake you up and say, yeah, as far as my job is concerned, or this issue, I'm sure my stuff. And I think that personally, how I know that I know is that I set questions to myself and I answer them. And as I'm writing it out, I analyze those things. And you will get noticed or recommended when you are standing. Now ask, are there people that each time there's a task to be done, they're called upon? That's because they are standing, they deliver. Some of them get invited to committees without needing to lobby. I'm Igbo, my husband loves proverbs. And there's one that he says, how many people, I'm seeing in Igbo and I'll try to transliterate. Says, no one na-achụ ehi na-akpọ aha, ma ọ dịghị ike ọsọ n'oji eriri. So if there's a loose car and somebody is running after it, and they're calling Joe, there must be something about Joe. It's either Joe is a good runner, he can run fast enough to catch the cow, or he holds the rope with which the cow can be lassoed when you get close enough. Same point. Be thorough about what you do. Don't cut corners. Be good at what you do. I had a sister-in-law, bless her heart, and they asked her, is the driver a good driver? Smart girl. He said, I don't know, but can't we drive past anybody? They're either pointing at us or abusing himself. That's all she said. So, what is the quality of work you produce? Do you produce work that your boss will say, oh my God, I should have done this myself? You're not doing yourself a favor. Then, there are those who think feminine words, oh, I'm female, I can roll my eyes. What it does is to keeping your credentials. It doesn't help in any way. Then what about how you present yourself? You must have a good sense of self, a good courage, good manners, courtesy, dressing that's appropriate for the occasion of the workplace, good courage. Somebody once said of another person that, you know, the woman that you see, and when you want to call their attention, you can't say, hey. That was a huge compliment as far as I was concerned. Then have a career plan. Understand the system. And I'll tell you a personal story. As a lawyer, it takes 10 years to become a judge, or you can become a senior advocate. Now, we left law schools, and there were those who knew what they wanted, went for it. So, one of my classmates, as we hit 10, he became a senior advocate of Nigeria. He had worked seriously on it, and he achieved it. I won't call his name. And there were those who went on to the judiciary. But if you don't know, then you won't work for it. But then the challenge is, what about women who go into childbearing? Because childbearing will slow your career down. No truth about it. But the truth of the matter is, as far as I'm concerned, childbearing is a national service, which must be honored. And so when you must get into childbearing, take stock of what it is that you need to do. Ask yourself, what can I do on the side to progress my career until I get to the point where it is convenient for me to manage, what children have gone off to school, and therefore I can get back fully. You can make progress. There are courses online that you can take and improve your knowledge so that you can equip yourself to do well. There's something about those you surround yourself with those who share similar or high aspirations. I'll tell you a funny story. My time is quite almost off, but I'll go through the story quickly. So, a friend of mine, who lived in Abuja, were in Lagos, she came to visit. And so somebody else who was also visiting me that weekend said to her, she had planned to stay like 5 days. On the second day, somebody said to her, "Why don't you give me 2,000? This was way back when 2,000 was a lot of money. Can you give me, I'm talking about like 1985 or 86. Can you give me 2005, 2006? The person said to her, "Can you give me 2,000 naira for the weekend?" She didn't say a word. She got out 2,000 naira, she gave her. The following morning, she packed up her things and said she was leaving. So I asked her, "Why are you offended?" He said, "No, I can't tell people who are doing 2,000 naira weekend. Don't you people are looking for millions for the weekend. Like this will slow me down." So you must surround yourself. It was a joke, but it was an important point. Surround yourself with people who share similar aspirations. Don't cut corners. Don't be a tool in the hands of those who do the wrong thing. If you do that out of naivety or out of willingness, but you don't have a place here. I've talked about the importance of family. Then please don't give excuses. If something needs to be done, do it. Be a solution provider. Don't be the one who gives excuses. Strengthen yourself financially. There's an Igbo saying, "I could assume you get." That is, the wealth gives you confidence. Strengthen yourself financially. Invest. You can't invest too soon. But even if you haven't, you can start now. The confidence that wealth gives you or financial investment gives you is that it takes away panic. So arm yourself with financial literacy. And then listen to your body. Physical and mental health challenges are real. Eat, rest, exercise. These things are important. Don't let your body choose the day of rest for you, because you may choose a day you don't want, or a day that's not convenient. Then offer genuine help. The universe is watching and knows when you are offering because you're looking to gain something, and when you're genuinely offering because genuinely you want to serve. It is service above self, and the universe rewards that. Then, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. Be prepared so that when the opportunity comes, you can take advantage of it. William Shakespeare in the play Hamlet said, "This above all, to thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night the day, that you cannot be false to any man." This is not a direct translation, but a direct quote. Yourself the truth. Then be present. I read an expression, swim in the seasons of your life. If I'm here today, I'm directing. Do everything that today affords you. Don't live your life and you look back in regrets. Swim in the seasons of your life. I put up the information I sent to Stephanie in my profile. I wrote that I'm a chief in my locality. I'm loving it. I'm a chief in my locality, in my birthplace. Then in my place of marriage, I have an honorific title from the Women's League because I like to participate. You must participate, be part of it. You can't want leadership, you can't want relevance, and then you're not seen. You must participate. At the end of the day, trust God is the ultimate balance sheet. Life is so tough that you can't go through it on your own. What will you leave behind? And I ask, how about some relevance? Is there anybody who is not a member of your family who will miss you when you're not there? Are there people you have mentored? Are there people who will say, if it was not for so and so, my life will not be what it is? What lives make a difference? Final thoughts. Your dreams, even if they are large and humongous, they are valid. They are yours. You are entitled to them. All you need to do is work at accomplishing them. Please write. There's a poem called Desiderata. Find it. I love Desiderata. It says you have a right to be here. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And I say that right now. Don't be cowed into being less than yourself. A friend of mine several years ago was a banker, and she got a car in the office. But because she wasn't married, she thought it would scare the husbands away. So she'll go and hide the car somewhere. She won't park it near her house. She'll take a taxi to her brother's house, then enter the car, drive to work, come back and park in her brother's house, and take a taxi back to what end. The person who doesn't like you with your car will not like you without the car. And there's room for emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is important, but have a healthy sense of self. Then please, women are not their own worst enemies. They will tell women are their own worst enemies. It is a lie. The opportunities I have had in this life, there have been several women cheering me on to encourage me to achieve. Let me talk about FIDA presidency, for example. In FIDA constitution, the presidency goes from region to region, and the constitution clearly states that a country that has held the presidency is not eligible to contest until it has gone around other countries in the region. Now in Africa, there's FIDA Uganda, there's FIDA Ghana, there's FIDA Kenya, there's FIDA Tanzania, there's Zanzibar, a host of FIDA countries. The last African president, let me address that. Yeah. I am not the first or later, no. Maybe the fifth African, because Kenya and Ghana have held FIDA presidents in the past. And I'm the third Nigerian. There's Ambassador Aduke Alakija, Mrs. Stella Ogoma, and then me. So the last time the FIDA presidency came to Africa, Mrs. Stella Ogoma in Nigeria held the office. So clearly Nigeria was not in the running. But guess what? It was my sisters who engaged the African country to say, look, Nigeria should do this. Honestly, I when it comes to things like that, I'm fearful. But my FIDA sisters, the country vice president at the time, start calling up countries within and outside Africa to say Nigeria is going for this. And we got the support. It was my sisters that did it. Women are not the ones that know. Okay? So let's get rid of the stereotype. And guess what? They tell me that some example someone gave me was that after all, it's women who go to shave women. This is for the Southeast. It's women who go to shave women's hair when their husbands die. Is it them die? Is it the men that do it? So people are watching what is happening. If the men would open their mouth and say, don't do this, it will stop. But they're the custodians of tradition. And it's okay. And I turn around and say, you who are shaving each other's heads. And then they say women fight. So do men. Assembly. When do you see fighting? About it, well, carry chairs and throw at each other. 45. So they shouldn't be the ones that went to make difference. Okay? So in power, it's not the power that shows up or is rude or boastful. No, it is power that is kind and elegant. It is power that is enabling, elevating. That is the kind of power that women want. Two more thoughts. The darkest part of night is before dawn. There will be tough times, there will be tough challenges, but just know that the day will break, the light will come. Okay? Final thought, all things are possible to them that believe. If you believe, it will happen for you. Now, I have one assignment. I ask for people to be shared. What can you commit to in terms of accelerating action to and ensure advancement in gender equality? What can you commit to in your house, in your community, in native? What commitment are you willing to make? Please write it down. Don't worry, I'm not going to be asking you for it. Please make that commitment. And next year, when it's your International Women's Day, please let Stephanie, guided by the Executive Secretary, Dr. Jobuna Ochi, people should take stock of money for who are able to say, this is what I committed to, and that is what I achieved. Thank you very much. Please Another round of applause. I'm just trying to appreciate that. This is not the normal run-of-the-mill speech. It's not filled with technical jargons. She was speaking not just from experience, she was speaking to us. She spoke to, please. She spoke to our emotions, she spoke to our psyche, she spoke to our psychology, she spoke to our workplace experiences, she spoke to our self-esteem as women in the workplace. She spoke to our health. What didn't she touch? Another round of applause for her. Thank you, Trogarine. Thank you. We had a program once in Sokoto. It was the zonal outreaches, and Tia Sobia was our chairman at the time. And of course, he likes writing, I know. And I was with at the time, so that was in 2011. No, 2010, October, November. Dr. Oji led the team that went with Fati to Calabar, right? And then he went and read like almost about 8-page speech, an 8-page speech. And when he finished, the representative of Dr. Archbishop Kuka was in the hall. So when he stopped and he spoke for like 5 minutes to summarize his point, when this old man stood up, he said, "The only thing I heard you say was in the past 5 minutes. All the time you were reading your speech, but for you, you had me from the time you stood here to deliver your speech. Thank you again for coming. Thank you for giving us things to think about, both men and women. I want to invite, and I'm sure she's not going to be any different. I'm going to invite the next one. I want to announce a modification to the agenda. We will take the two speakers back to back, and then we'll now have interactive session to give time for our Muslim the next 1 hour. So I want to invite Stephanie, so please come give citation for the second speaker, Dr. Amede Osakwe, a public health consultant. Initially, to have the men excuse us during this session, but we felt that there was a modification, because the things we're talking about also concerns men. If you understand what men go through, it helps you to appreciate when they have those downtime and of what you can do to encourage them. And the he for she. So
Thank you very much. It is a great privilege to introduce our second guest speaker for today, a seasoned medical practitioner, public health advocate, women and children program management, specialist with over 25 years of experience in healthcare, service delivery, and policy formulation on women and gender issues. She holds a Master of Public Health from Bingham University and a postgraduate diploma in family medicine from the National Postgraduate Medical College of Nigeria. In 1998, she earned her Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery degree from the University of Nigeria, and has since been committed to advancing healthcare systems, particularly in the areas of primary healthcare, advocacy, strategic leadership, and health financing. She has served in high impact roles, including a senior technical assistant for resource mobilization and control with the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, where she played a critical role in mobilizing and managing resources during Nigeria's pandemic response. She's also a former medical doctor of Campbell Clinic and Maternity, where she provided leadership in clinical service, delivery, and patient-centered care. Beyond her clinical expertise,
She dedicated advocate of workplace health and well-being with vast experience in stakeholders engagement, health systems strengthening, and community health programs. She has actively contributed to national health initiatives and is a member of various professional bodies, including the Nigerian Medical Association and the Society of Family Physicians in Nigeria. Her commitment to women's health, occupational safety, and behavioral change communication makes her an ideal speaker for today's discussion on the peculiar health challenges faced by women in workplace. With a strong passion for mentorship, leadership, and beyond, with her special passion for medical outreach, public education, and enlightenment of preventable disease, cure, and access to community medicine. We would like to introduce our wonderful medical expert, Dr. Mrs. Amede Osakwe.
Good morning, everyone. Like she said, some of us are not on the protocol, sometimes we don't even know where to start. But I just want to say a big thank you to the Executive Secretary of NAPIS for the opportunity to be here today. Actually in awe of everyone in this room, and I hope that my little contribution today will make an impact. I just like when I speak that at least everybody goes away with one thing. That, when you remember today, you say, this is what I learned. I try to make my presentations very simple and easy for every one of us. And I would like each and every one of us to participate. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Before I start, I heard everything that my sister, my fellow lioness said. And as a medical practitioner, you understand and you come to believe that you will not be able to do any of these things if you don't have your health. Does everybody agree with me? Yeah. So I just want a few people in this hall to tell me what they understand by them being in good health. Just raise your hand and just say what comes to your mind when you think of yourself as being in good health.
When I climb a flight of stairs and I'm not panting like I'm about to die.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you very much, madam. The ability for me to use every part of my body the way I want it, and exactly, having that option. I had a fracture in December, and I was not able to walk for a while. But now I am on my legs. If I took that to let me know that, having that option to use your body the way you want it and when you want it. That is part of being healthy. Thank you so much, Major.
Fantastic. Does anybody else want to say something? Okay, now, what she said makes a lot of sense because most of us take health for granted. And the WHO definition of health is that is the presence, is your ability, the wellness of you being physical, social, and mental well-being of a person, and not just the absence of disease or infirmity. So physically, you're okay. Socially, you're balanced. Mentally, you're okay. That's when we say you're in good health. And so for you to be able to participate and you say you're in good health, do you think are the things that you need to be able to be in good health? What are the things that you think that should happen to you or should be provided for you to be in good health, physically, socially, and mentally? Okay, let me explain something. Let me throw more light so that we can progress. Physically, being in good health, physically, or having the physical well-being is that you can move from place to place. You can get up and do what you want to do. You can climb a flight of stairs by yourself without being aided. Socially, that's you have a good relationship. You come from a stable family. You have friends that you can talk to. You have a family that can come around you when you have an issue and say, what do you need us to do for you? Mentally, emotionally, that there's nothing that is troubling you and preventing you from doing those things that you can do. You're not depressed. When you're depressed, you don't feel like leaving your bed. You almost feel like the world is coming to an end. Or you're not anxious. You have those problems, but your mind is able to deal with them. Not that you don't have the problems. So for you to be able to achieve, you have to be in good health. So that is why what I'm saying here. When I say your health is about a person, for you to have a good health is your genetic composition. Your genetic composition is what your father and your mother contributed to you being here. So like some of us are big, some of us are small, some of us, no matter what we eat, we are slim. No, some of us, it's as if you drink water and the weight increases. That's the genetic. It's something you have to handle by yourself. It's something you came with in this world that you have to make, come to terms with it. So we say that health of a person is affected by his genetic makeup, his family, environment, which includes his physical and social component. The physical aspects include like the housing you have, if you live in a good house, not the palatial house we mean like a decent house that is well ventilated, that does not have puddles of water that will incubate mosquito. And then socially, you have friends, you have something that you believe in, you're either a Christian, a Muslim, or you're a traditional practitioner, but something that centers your existence in this life. And then you belong to social organizations and you can engage in recreational activities. So a healthy family is one that can easily adapt itself with its members, allow growth, provide affection, and willing to make out time to resolve issues involving its members. The workplace is a component of your environment and can affect women positively or negatively depending on the structure, pervading environment, principles and guidelines governing it. The health issues of a professional woman usually depend on the stage of life cycle that she finds herself, as well as the dynamics at the workplace. What are we saying? What I'm trying to say here is that the health issues, the entire speech the message I want to send out to you today is that the health issues that you are bound to face in the course of your life as a woman depends on the stage of the life cycle that you find yourself. The problem of a single lady is different from the problem of a married woman. And if you're married, your problem as a childbearing woman and rearing woman is different from your problem when your children are out of the house. So the health issues are different. I'm only here to point out these health issues so that you are aware of them and then you can guard against them, because public health is about prevention. so that you will be aware of them, be able to prevent them, be able to handle the situations, and be in good health, so that you can be at the table, like she said, and be able to compete with the fellow gender. Thank you very much. So, Evelyn Duval and a group of scientists, they were able to give us 8 stages that a woman goes through when she gets married. It's from the beginning family, the early childbearing family, the family with the under 5s, the family with the school-age children, and the family with the teenagers. These make up women, the issues that you're going to have as a childbearing or rearing woman. After that, you now have the launching center when the children start to leave the home. It goes on up until when everybody would have left the house, and you and your husband, you start to retire from service up until you die. You know? So the health issue, you agree with me, will be different, because as you go through these phases, you're getting older and the health issues will be changing. So let's get into them. I would like to talk briefly about the young people. Are there single people in the house?
Yeah.
Please, can you raise your hand? Okay, yeah. So usually, most times, organizations like to employ the single people. As far as they're concerned, you don't come with baggages. So they don't like, they prefer the young person. But the good thing about being young and single is that when you're employed in an organization at that time, that is when you're expected to apply yourself. You really don't have a lot of responsibilities. So you apply yourself and make sure that your bosses, the people in the organization, understand that they have employed somebody that is worthy of note, somebody that is indispensable. But as a single person, single people without a lot of responsibilities, they engage in a lot of mindless things, because you can go from work and party, have 2 hours of sleep, and show up to work the following day. Yeah, these things are possible. And sometimes you get careless. You have unprotected sex. People take you and you binge drink. You start to smoke. Sometimes you find yourself in drug abuse and substance abuse. But those are the things that will derail your life if you're not if you don't have good moral values. Because having freedom is that point, but if you have good moral values, and like you said, your family supporting and good environment, you're able to move. So when you now get married, it gets to that point where a boy meets a girl and they get married. And then when you get married, getting married in the African situation has to do with you not only marrying the person, you're marrying the person's family and the extended family. So you find yourself trying to adjust to knowing these people. And if you're not able to adjust properly, this causes health issues for you. You might become anxious, you might become depressed. In fact, some people might exhibit downright psychosis because they're not able to adjust to that point. And then if you now go along, you balance it out, and then you start looking for children, you're trying for conception, and then you have children, or the conception is delayed, there are issues of infertility. Looking for a child, and in a society where children are the basis of marriage, you can imagine the emotional and physical stress that the person will go through. And then afterwards, the children you're looking for, they come, then you now realize that these children are zapping your energy. You don't have privacy. I mean, if we're truthful to ourselves, a lot of good intimacy would have been interrupted at some point or the other because of children just barging into the bedrooms, right? That's why the white man says that children spoil passion, intimacy, and relationships. They're not big on having children when they're married. That's their mindset. But that's not our African mindset. Then the children have come, and then they will have to go to school. And then they go to school, they socialize, they have after school activities, they pick up infections from there. And then they have their own path that they have to chart. The child has to go through primary, secondary, university. All of those you have to be present while trying to strive to create a career for yourself. So that is why I had that drawing initially where it says your family, the environment, and you yourself. All of that, there has to be a balance for you to be able to push through every phase of your life. And then it looks like, oh, the work is getting better. The children are grown. They're leaving the house. But now you're getting old. Menopause is setting in. And menopause comes with its own issues. After that, you now notice your blood pressure is going up. Diabetes is coming. You're having pain in your body. You're now wondering the things you don't have much energy anymore. The things you could do before, you're not able to do them. You're wondering when will the respite come. But you know that when you have a stable home, when you have a good interaction, good relationship with the man that you married, you have people around you, your in-laws, your brothers and sisters, aunties and uncles that are there to support you, you will not be able to feel the pressure that you're feeling. Let me give you an example. Let me paint this scenario so that we can put things together. Who do you think of a woman that is having infertility issues but has good relationship with her husband and the extended family, their support? Compare it to another that is having infertility issues but no support from husband and no support from the extended family. Who do you think will be making career progress, even without having children? The person with support. The person with support. So you see, it's not that she does not have the problem. The problem is there, but because she has the right set of support, she's still making career progress. And once the pressure is not much, the person eventually, the children will come, but she's still able, she has moved up the career ladder, but the other person falls off the career ladder. That's just the main message that I want to send today. There are a lot of things that I've written, but it's all this story that I've told you now. The other thing that I want to highlight, because we don't have a lot of time, is about menopause, coming of age. Let me start with the woman in the childbearing and child-rearing age. Pregnancy, labor, deliveries. Those is a physiologic process. What I mean by physiologic process is that pregnancy is a normal thing that can happen to you. The body, God has created you, and your body is supposed to accept it, and for you to be able to go through it without any issues. But life does not quite happen like that. And that's why God has made it possible for there to be doctors, nurses, and all of that, so that when these issues come up, there are people that can handle it. Nigeria Africa still remains one of the riskiest places for you to be pregnant. The maternal mortality ratio as at 2017, about 295,000 women died from childbirth. So you can imagine. Why do we have that? Because sometimes you go to the hospitals, you don't have trained medical personnel to attend to the pregnant women. So women do not even register for antenatal. At the labor and delivery stage, you don't have medical personnel, qualified medical personnel attending to these processes. Even after the delivery, the postpartum period, people are still not, you still don't have enough medical personnel to guide people through this period. Aside from you having sleepless nights and all of that, where your family is supposed to come in, and then the medical personnel that is supposed to take care of things, they're not there. These are the things that will cut down the number of women that will now come up to even come to compete in the first place. So these are the issues. Then as the children have grown and they have left, your coming of age, menopause too is a normal process in the body. Because as you're born with your ovaries. And the ovaries are already there. The total number of eggs that you have will already be there. In the course of life, as you experience menstruation, the ovaries, the eggs are going down. And then, of course, it's from the ovaries that you have the hormone that makes every woman sane. The hormone that keeps every woman sane is the estrogen. And once the level of estrogen starts to go down in the woman's body, that's where you notice you're not feeling well, your skin is cracking, you don't have the strength to do anything, you have weakness in your bones, you have pain in your bones, you have the hot flushes, and all of that. What else do I want to highlight to you about the cancers, the neoplastic disorders that may come up as a result of age? For the childbearing woman, what is most common is the cancer of the cervix. Cervix is that lowest part of the womb where the baby comes out from. So you found out that there's a virus, the human papilloma virus. The human papilloma virus, we found out that in almost 99% of the cases of cervical cancer is an exposure to human papilloma virus that has caused it. So the drive now is to make sure that we test children before the age of, we try to make sure that people before the age of 35 have been tested for exposure to this human papilloma virus. And so there's a human papilloma virus vaccine that is administered to young people between the ages of 9 and 14. So this information is very important. So if you have young girls at this age, you take them to the clinics that they will test them for the human papilloma virus and vaccinate them. And this provides complete protection from having cervical cancer. And that is why over the years now, you see the incidence of cervical cancer is coming down. Now, the second most important cancer in women is cancer of the breast. And then your only risk for having breast cancer is that you're female. The other important risk is that you're 40 and above. But then if you exercise, if you don't smoke, if you don't drink alcohol, and all of those things, it reduces the risk by only 30%. So that's it. So it means that once you're 40 and above and you're a female, you have to make sure there are people that take their shower, they don't touch themselves. So you make sure that from time to time you look in the mirror and see if there's anything that you see. And then that you go for mammogram. Mammogram is 1 to 2 years. Every 1 to 2 years, you go for mammogram, and all of that. And then the breast examination that you do, you try and do it after your menstrual period. That's when you're advised to do your breast exam. I'm just okay. So can you move on? Because I've talked about it. I've talked about this as well. I just want to go. I've talked about this. Like I said to you, go to the last slide. Like I said to you, the feel-good hormone for the woman is the estrogen. So when you have the musculoskeletal pain, so the drop in estrogen actually, kind of unbalances everything in a woman's body. And no. That's
the last slide.
No, that's yeah. The musculoskeletal, calm down. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Yes.
Which one? Is it this one?
I'm almost there. I don't want to take your time. Maybe we'll share this and then you can read because it's a lot. Okay, let me go ahead. But what I'm trying to say is that in all of this that we're saying, for you to maintain your health so that you'll even be able to have that career that you want, there are 3 things that are important. You need yourself, you need your family, and you need a balanced environment. So in this case, we're talking about the workplace. What are the things that you need to do to be able to promote your own health and be able to chase your dreams and get the glass ceiling? So individually, next slide. Next slide. So as an individual, balanced diet is very important. You need to, what we mean by the balanced diet is that when you eat your food, you have all the classes of food on your plate. The carbohydrates, protein, vitamins, minerals, fat, and oil. And the simple way to know it is that your food looks colorful. Because if you have the carrots, the green pepper, the rice, a little bit of the oil and all of that, that's how you know that you're getting it. So the balanced diet is important. Having regular exercise, even if it's just to take a walk. And I like the fact that in this environment, you get to walk around a lot. The lift is not on all the time. So you're going up and down. That's very good for everyone. And then you have to learn to use the health services. Most people do not appear at the hospitals except it's very late. But if you learn to use the hospitals, anything that you notice that is out of place, it's best you come to the hospital and see your physician. In that way, we need things in the board. Then you have to maintain healthy relationships with your nuclear and extended family. You can imagine when you're in the child-rearing and childbearing age, if you have a stable extended family, those people can support your career by taking care of your children when you're not there. Even if you do not have your parents alive and all of that, or your parents-in-law are not alive, but you have made friends, good female friends that you people take turns to look after each other. That will help you to progress your career because it means that they'll make out time for you to hold on to your children, visit your children, and all of that for you to be where you're supposed to be. And then you have to learn to ensure that proper time management. Proper time management is very important because that's the only way you can maintain the balance. How do you do the proper time management? You list out everything that you need to do and then be able to apportion time to them. And then you have to come to terms with the fact that you don't have to be at every event in the workplace and at your children's activities in school. You have to make peace with that. Because anytime you're at work, you're missing something. And anytime you're in their school, you're missing something at work. So you have to make peace with the fact that you're not a spirit, you're a human being, and there's just so much you can do at a time, right? Yes. So regular health checks are quite important, you know. If you make it a yearly health check or your physician sends you messages from time to time. And I would like, when I get to what your workplace can do for you, the workplace arranging yearly medical check for their workers. That will be very good too. And then, like I said, I will encourage you to immunize your young children that are 9 to 14 to protect them from cervical cancer. And obviously, you must respect the organization rules and guidelines. Make sure, even the good book says that once it's within your power, you make sure that you're in good terms with everybody that is around you. So once you come into an organization, make sure that you respect everybody that you come in contact with. Do your job. Do not be overly combative, but try to maintain cordial relationships so that people will see you and not say that, oh, this person is troublesome. And then when you have issues, that's when that impression that you have created comes in, because people will notice a change in you and somebody can approach and say something is not going right with you right now. So, and report cases of sexual harassment, abuse, and rape. That is the debate we're having now, right? Somebody has decided to report the sexual harassment, and then you're now being told to stay at home for 6 months, and then we're saying that we're not enough. Not enough of us are being represented there, and then you're taking one person out of the 1%. So what exactly are we saying here? So you see, that is why we must take our health very seriously, so that most of us will come out at the other end, healthy and agile to be representing others. Is that not it? Yeah. So, and of course, if you're diagnosed of hypertension, diabetes, and all of those chronic diseases, please make sure that you take your medication regularly. A person that has a stroke cannot move. A person that is in coma cannot contribute to any career movement upwards. Right? Next, please. So for the family is an integral part of anybody's well-being and you being able to achieve whatever you attempt to achieve in this life. So we say that a healthy family provides physical, social, emotional, financial security for its members. You must sustain a good relationship with the members of your extended family. You see, it's because we've come to the age, you're hearing about people committing suicide in Nigeria because Nigerians have learned terrible things that we didn't used to do before. You come into somebody, you're greeting somebody, they're saying, you're in my space. You're violating my space. You're saying hello to somebody. The person is wondering, why are you saying hello to me? You come to live in a neighborhood, you don't know your right neighbor, you don't know your left neighbor. These are the issues. You don't even go to see your grandmother, you don't call your aunties, you probably don't even know who your auntie is. Sometimes people go and bring their relations home that they want to marry them because people are not maintaining relationships. So these things are important. The thing that the white man is missing is being together, and that is what makes us African. Yes, those ones that we do that are not good for our health, we'll drop them. But those ones that maintain our health, we have to hold on to them. So let's try and hold on to those ones. Like caring for each other, visiting, caring for the elderly, and things like that. Those are important. Then, obviously, the community and the religious organizations, they have a part to play. Because when somebody commits a crime, so when somebody commits a crime and the community does not rise to say that there's something wrong with it, then that crime is perpetrated, right? And then, of course, keeping silent means consent that you're perpetrating that crime. So even with what is happening in the National Assembly, I hope that various female groups will be able to rise up and make sure that this does not continue, right? So, and then obviously, we must provide equal educational opportunity for the child, for the girl child, at least to the secondary level, because it's been found out that a woman that is educated up until the secondary level is able to make good health decisions for the entire family. And she's able to go on and fulfill herself in her life. Next slide, please. Then for the organization, we're talking to your guys now. We say, provide the necessary tools and conducive environment for female workers to thrive by having zero tolerance to discrimination, sexual harassment or abuse, and offering equal opportunities to all, no matter the sex. That's what the first, speaker has emphasized. So let me not overburden it. Then you have to provide adequate maternity leave. Make sure that there's an in-house psychologist. An in-house psychologist is very good because when you're of the child rearing age, or even when your children are grown, you have issues because when children are grown and they're leaving, you're feeling empty, you're anxious, you're wondering what next to do with your life. But if you have an in-house psychologist that is able to, that you go to and speak to about what you're feeling, and it will help your emotional need, your mental state not to escalate. And then if you think that you need to visit a professional or a specialist, then he will direct you without matters getting out of hand, right? So I will encourage the organization to enroll their workers in the National Health Insurance Scheme. I hope it's done. And then there's provision of equal opportunities for people to ascend in their careers. The career path will be clear that if a woman that is putting in the work, that, when they're being considered, then if it's a woman that needs the place, the woman will be given the place. Then I also would like, for a work environment where women are respected, and then people watch the way they speak, because abuse can come in the form of verbiage that people use in the workplace. That is an abuse. It's not and that is harassment as well. When people do use improper verbiage in the place of work, that's an abuse. So please, if you didn't know that before, know it now. Next slide, please. So for the government, we will need the government to, manage the funds that have been made available for the national health insurance, properly, so that the hospitals can be well equipped, medical personnel can be well paid, and then people can be well looked after, and so that we will now have better life expectancy in Nigeria. And then the maternal mortality rate will drop so that we have more women surviving to go through with their careers and be at the table to discuss. I can imagine that if at the National Assembly, if it was a 43 up to 57 at least percent of people there, 43% of the women, and they wouldn't have been able to have enough votes to tell a woman to stay at home for 6 months. So government will have to try and achieve 50% allocation of the national budget to health. In other words, just to improve, the health outcome in Nigeria. The next slide. So, in conclusion, I just want us to know that the female gender is an integral part of mankind and an indispensable co-pilot of life who births and nurtures lives while contributing their quota to the domination of the earth. As such, the health problems or needs of women should be prioritized to achieve a successful existence of this world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's rise to appreciate this Amazon, this beautiful lady. She's beauty and brain. Thank you very much, Dr. Takwet. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I saw our he for she. I'm sure they grab not just you, he or she the whole. I'm sure they grab a thing or two on how to support and help women. Please, I want to quickly recognize Dr. Lovett Ononuga. She's representing the FIRS chairman, Dr. Zach Adedeji. You're welcome. And my friend just left, Mrs. Odetoro, the Director Environmental Assessment at the Federal Ministry of Environment. But I don't know if her team is still here, or she left with them. Okay. So right now we're going to question and answer session. Do you have any questions for our guests? Any questions or comments or observations or reservation? Something you don't agree with, something you agree very strongly about, we feel strongly about, we want to talk about. This is the time for us to share those thoughts and moments. Anything for our guests? So if not, I want to invite Stephanie. Sorry. Thank you, ma'am. I have a question for Dr. Omade Osakwe. He was actually talking about the issue of cancer in women and the different stages. So I wanted to know, she talked about the human papilloma virus. So I wanted to know, how do women get infected with that virus? And then what are the exposures? Thank you. Any more questions?
Yeah, one.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much, ma'am. My question is with gender equality thing that we always talk about every time. Is this something that is going to continue, or is it going to always be a work in progress? And then yeah, and then what measures are we going to see in our society for us to know that the gender is now being equal, is balanced? What measures do we have to see? Secondly, the issue that is going on in the National House of Assembly about the women, it's just 1%. I think there are 4 out of 109, or about 8. There are 4 out of 109. So do we think there should be a quota, a specific quota that you say, okay, this quota should be for women, or should it be based on merit?
We are starting our 35% affirmative action. Okay, I hope you're taking the questions. You listen to the market. And then you had the one on the health issue. Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Engineer, and my question is, especially to the both speakers. Um, some of us are in our reproductive years, and a lot of times it tends to affect your career. So, what I mean, it tends to affect your career. Maybe you go on maternity leave, and time for promotion. Because I saw this happen to a lady where I previously worked in private. She was due for promotion, but because that particular year, she went on maternity. She wasn't even sure. So she's a very diligent staff. So how do you navigate that aspect of your life as a woman? Because this thing tends to slow your career. You see the male gender, you start work together, and then you decide to now go ahead and procreate, and then this man is moving up, and to a large extent tends to now become your senior. How do you navigate that as a woman? Because it tends to like weaken your morale to even continue on the job and all that. Thank you very much.
Anymore? Anymore?
I have question marks. Well, you guys that I'm wearing a purple cloud because I've been fine. Very sorry, this question is for you. The question is concerning mindset. When you approach a lady for friendship, you are coming so that not when you get to the career aspect, the equality will be. You approach for friendship, you take 80% of all the expenses. You talk of marriage. You talk of marriage, that is a mindset. You talk of marriage from the east where I come from. The man takes 90% of the whole thing. Then if you come to bringing up the children, the wife will say, my money is my money, but my husband's money is our money. Then I will just be supportive. Now it gets to leadership position. And the ladies are telling you that we should share it equally. When you have been mentally, because you have been taking care of their expenses, now leadership position, you should share it. So what is the advice you have? Because you start from that youthful age. Thank you.
So it's not what I asked for. Just want to say thank you so much for all the presentations. They're very insightful. So I have one question for you both. One is, how do we navigate femininity while progressing in our careers? Because you tend to have women becoming a bit more masculine and navigating how to still be themselves in the fullness of their womanhood while trying to progress in their careers. And then secondly, I wanted to ask about perimenopause. There's always something about menopause, etc., but there's no conversation typically about that very important issue. So thank you.
The time is a lot of people taking.
Thank you very much. My question is two questions. One tends to align with the last. The good thing about the biological cycle of women is that at various stages you have to be emotionally, you have to use your intelligence to how you can be able to manage their psyche at that particular period. And there's a thin line between being, how do I put it? Addressing some of the issues, especially the issue of menopause, when the hormones get to this thing, and you might not be able to read how can you safely navigate it as a colleague and also maybe as a spouse in terms of managing that complex situation, in terms of how do you relate with that person? Because sometimes the things that you say that you become in the you be the other side in terms of the red flags. How do you manage it? I said an issue of menopause and the hormonal changes. You need to be intelligent in how you deal with them at those stages. So you would know what sometimes the kind of first, if this thing might trigger a negative response. You just put a nice perfume, they don't like it. and cause wahala. So, how the saying this thing is said that for us, people as we are, so that it can be, how do you kind of, what are the tips that you can help us to achieve that? And, Madam, on the issue of the work environment for women, like you said, I appreciate and I like that. Women tend to work hard in most places. I take an example for me. I'm also going to use my personal experience. My wife sometimes brings work to the house, and she stays late till way late doing it. And sometimes I just change the room. I just move to other rooms. And it's very critical because at a particular period in their career, they need, like you said, they need to work twice as hard as other people. But it's also going to affect the relationship in terms of how they cope with management now. I think you need to strike a balance for us. And how do you think? I'm talking to my colleagues here so that they can have that one. How will they strike that balance between time for their family and time for their work to excel? They need to strike that balance.
Thank you. Hello. Okay. The reason I insisted that the males stay and hear this presentation is that as a family physician, we preach families, we preach togetherness, because once family is stable, you rarely see anybody that comes from a stable home not do well. So this comes to the point where you now make sure all of us here to be able to change the narrative, like she was asking, I know she will talk about it, like she was asking, the female representation, is it a work in progress? Like she said, once individuals start to make changes in their homes, because that badly behaved boy, he has a father and a mother. So if you train your child, if you train your male and female children, would they go ahead and turn to be bad? So if everybody makes that effort, obviously over the years, it will stop being a work in progress. And like I said, it's imperative actually that you make the right decision in choosing a spouse. It's very important. That's the truth of the matter. Because if you do not make the right decision in choosing a compatible spouse, you don't get married just for getting married. It's not that serious. You must not go through life being married. But if you must marry the right person, because the right person will help to propel whatever vision that you have. That's effortlessly. And I'm taking it to the question that he asked, that if you have a relationship, a good balance, I'm not judging, I'm just trying to speak. But what I'm saying is that over the years, as you and your wife go through these life stages, you get closer, and it makes whatever you can tell the person anything. But I know that for women, that climacteric period, the years leading up to the menopause, is a challenging one for most women, because most times you don't even know what is wrong with you. You wake up today, it's something else. It's the smell around the house. You wake up tomorrow, it's the pain in your waist. You're like, you wake up tomorrow, you sweep the house and you're feeling pain, something that you've always done by yourself for several years. So you're kind of doubting yourself and wondering if you're about to die. And that is why, yes, you must have conversation. That's why you must have friends. So that if you know the relief you feel when you're talking to your friend and she said, it happened to me. You go back and you're like, okay, it's right. And thing happens again, you're not like, okay, it's one of those things, and you move on. So that is why it's so important for you to have a balance between your physical, your social, and your mental well-being. Once those are connected, you'll be okay. Then for the perimenopausal period, it's actually called the climacteric period. It's the years before the menopause. Like I define menopause as have occurred when from your last menstrual period, 12 months after you still don't see the period, that's when menopause would have taken place. But before then, you begin to see changes. The period doesn't come as regular. The weakness, the pain, and all of that the hot flushes and all of that you experience. Why are you experiencing them? Because you're having fluctuation in the levels of the estrogen in the body. That is why for the people in the developed countries where food and housing is not still their problem, these are the things that they are chasing after, how to make your premenopausal, perimenopausal time good for you. They give low dose, very low dose estrogen. They give very low dose estrogen to you and you feel good, But here, we're still talking about food and housing and being able to find ourselves at the table. So let's stick to supporting ourselves. And I believe that if you have a strong women connection and you talk about these things freely, you go home feeling better because the mind is very powerful. And once you tell the mind that you're okay, it doesn't disturb you again. And that is what we as doctors use when you come to the hospital. Because when you believe in me and I tell you that this is what you have and I give you the medicine, you go home even without taking the medicine because you believe what I have said, you'll be okay. So the person that talked about career access in terms of going for maternity leave. So you see now we're encouraging workplaces to have creche. Places where people can put their children and play so that while at work, they can go there from time to time to supervise how their children are being taken care of. And if we have that, in addition to the in-house psychologist, I believe very much in that. The person will not be absent from work for a long time. And so if these things come up, the person will be present. And like I said, the work environment has to be gender friendly. You cannot be fixing a crucial meeting by 10 p.m. and expect that the women will attend. Obviously, you don't want them to attend. That's why you're fixing it at that time. And another thing I talked about is time management. You must be able to manage your time well, knowing that you have extra responsibilities aside from the males. And if you're able to manage your time properly, then you'll be okay. Thank you very much.
Hello. Thank you for the question. And she asked, is gender equality work in progress? And my answer is yes. Why so? Because the gap is huge and it won't happen in one day. But if there is consistent effort, then every time we're, closing the gap, we're moving closer. So if, for example, in the next round of elections, we decide we're supporting a woman, that's an additional person in the house. Because who are the majority of votes? The women. But you see, they'll collect money and collect rent. So it's work in progress. But more importantly is the point I made about starting early to begin to speak to and correct these things, and then making the personal commitment that you're going to improve the life of a female. You're going to take steps that will help to accelerate equality. I think that if each one of us makes such commitment and takes such steps, the difference will be clear. At least we make progress. Okay? There's a question, I didn't quite catch that about you preface it with the comment about what's going on in the National Assembly.
I didn't quite catch the rest of the question, so perhaps you can repeat that.
Yeah, I asked if it should there should be a designated quota for women, or should it be based on preference merits?
The top question. In a place like Rwanda, they actually decided to keep, seats for women. All right. And so you find that this is like Norway. It's practically equality. In fact, I think in Rwanda, they even have more women than men. So we have tried to push the idea of, when we call it twinning, if there's a male, so if a person is a man, is chairman, vice chair will be woman. Or if a woman is chair, vice chair will be man. But you see, what I find in politics is that the winner take all situation. Nobody wants to give them. We talk about, okay, to promote the gender policy where it says 35%, you people are pushing 30%. Can we say that in every state there are 3 senatorial zones, so one should go to a woman? Question is, which one was it? For women to make themselves relevant. Okay? Even if how relevant you are, when it comes to elections are a different animal. I have a conclusion to make. All my years as speaker, we talk about election. We had a program supporting women in elections, all of that. We did all of that until the last election. My younger sister ran for office. So I went to my village. That's when I saw what Nigerian elections are like. We stood there. Hey, you must allow her vote. No. You forget that you are a lawyer, a doctor, anything. You just wear your trousers and come out there. And you are fighting with everybody. One polling booth. I can only be at one. Okay? And they give you all kinds of assurances. And you are foolish if you believe it. Honest, people who come to your house right now and say, sir, worry is done. You got them. Something else. But for me, I enjoyed the experience because for me, it was really about what elections are like. Elections are no joke, let's not fool ourselves. But the truth of the matter is that there was one woman I praised. She was supporting a different person, but she stood her ground in supporting, in providing that support. They were clearly the minority. But I like the fact that she stood her ground. And I thought to myself, no woman will come out like this one and say, no, let's have the woman represent us. Let's be sure that at least in this polling booth, we're delivering this woman. Okay? Let's now be that as they were transitioning to INEC, and they decided to shut down Portal. All of that didn't happen. Look, the sheet that they're supposed to write on, they write it in such a way that nothing will show in the copies. Okay. Then you come and say, no, right, like so that it will show in the copies. The girl said, don't worry, I'll write it on the copies. So if you write on the copies, you validated it. So it was an experience. Oh, anyway, it is work in progress, but it's only get better. If we get to a point where they will, I can tell you in all honesty that, I firmly believe that at one point legislators will say, okay, at some point the question around, do we need 2 houses of assembly or 2 houses in the legislature bicameral legislature? Which one of them will agree not to come back to office? So we don't know. It's work in progress, that's all I can say. Then navigating career disruption because of childbearing. For me, childbearing is a national service, and I say it everywhere I go. Why? Because there are countries where population is an issue. Okay? But for you as the females, what do you do? Now, I think it depends. Part of it is a function of where you work. So there's a young girl who worked with me, Namis, super hardworking girl. She just had a baby. And I found that with, somebody who works with them, you really don't have to worry. That's who she was. Even watch the one maternity leave. Every month she sent a leave. And she was somebody who would, and in speaking to that, I also addressed the other things about managing family.
I found that then she said, oh, can I go pick up my children from school? Please, I'll continue the work at home and I'll send in the report. That's all I needed. I want the report, so if you want to do it from home, that's fine. Have your laptop with you. Well, I think that what is required is for you to give of yourself when it matters most. Like I said, no excuses. Don't give excuses. If you give a excuse today, you do tomorrow. So why you come with that? And they'll take you want the next person. All right. So then mindset. What is the mindset? Mindset. Mindset is a critical thing. And let me challenge you from where you started. And I met the lady. I talked to her. I spent my money on her. Then I went and married her with my money. Then I brought her to my house. I gave her my money for her. All I'm hearing is me. It is a myth for the men who give their wife of money. If you imagine that it is your money that is running that house, you are lying to yourself. It is not your money. Oftentimes, you can put more than you have given them. Okay, I have to forget. Go. Go. Again, for the beginning, I decided to go and talk to her and return my money. She spent her time listening to you up. She spent her time following you. And then she forsakes all others to follow you. So, when you want a good thing, when you want a good thing, it'll cost you. Okay? Then, how do you navigate community while progressing career? She said, women tend to acquire masculine features as they get older. There's a lot of option, right? Because when I heard you say, how do you navigate community? I'm thinking, that to navigate. Well, that is navigate. And you know, once retirement, I've been planning by next year, to next year. And I do not think that so I understand what you mean when I think it's looking from the perspective of people seeming to become more detached or more, maybe in terms of like being the focus on work, they seem to be less empathetic. But I think he says aggressive. She says not aggressive. But I think that becoming more masculine. Then you talk about parenting effort. Usually now, medical programs, channels and all, depending on what you sign up to, things that can actually be negotiated. And I think we do through training. When she was such, I met a friend, and she was like, she's not Nigerian, she's from Puerto Rico. So, I said, anyone, what? This people, man. I'll get him up his suit. Yeah. I'm over the time he can't do and I think God could kill him. Point about, I think it's something that perhaps the HR or the, HR managers of organizations can feel is where they begin to feel you're probably prepared to it's part of what we built into what women get to be taught. Yeah. Yeah. Huh? But how about the then you said, how do you manage balancing working time for family? And it talks about working late. And I agree. Because sometimes you go home and you work late, right? You won't understand. And then, it's this thing again about, I think people just must learn to support each other in ways that matter. Okay? There is no hard and fast rule. Friend who she goes home, I call at around 2 a.m. That's when I see her sending emails. I'm wondering, I need a sleep. Then she'll tell me, no, I sleep early when I wake up to work. And so the question will be, how does this affect family life? Couple will find a way to manage these things. Okay? And then it's somebody talked about, oh, the work is not as I thought to myself, hey, you think about when from being when they're pregnant, when they're getting menopause, or when everything, every smell irritates and all of that. Men have their own moments too. And women too. There's times when you talk to your husband. We have a moment. There are bad things. There are more good things than bad things. Okay. Thank you very much.
Sorry, ma'am. There's a question online for you.
Okay. Gender equality talks about equal opportunities and benefits for both genders, which is good. But why is gender equality downplayed when selecting foot soldiers for bloody warfare? E.g., the Russian-Ukraine war, where almost all the dead soldiers are men, thereby reducing the population of men. Women reluctantly rush into being foot soldiers, and when international call for recruitment is mandated for men but brought aside for women. Why don't women come up for the front role in warfare recruitment? Did they enjoy the extra privilege of choosing where a police should center? Well, the female soldiers, but the men were more careless. That's why they all got killed. Women are more careful. Because of recruitment, you initially women weren't encouraged to be combatants, but now women are combat pilots and all of that. So there are men and women dying. Okay, in the Ukraine situation, it is what it is, but the women dying too. So it's about how men rush in to take up all the positions. And more of you, the more men will die. But like more women and women, women will still die because women will be more careful than the men. But the numbers may be more balanced. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's come to a conversation, right? We're enjoying this. I will come to let me clear the issue of the for him. Here we're talking about women today, but you know that the men go to the andropause too, which is something similar to the menopause, but it's just that a lot of attention is not being paid to it. You remember those times that once somebody you turn into them, you're just angry for nothing. And then you remember that it's during that period that there's erectile dysfunction and all of that. Those things you're feeling like your manhood is being taken away and all of that. So it's the same thing that is happening to the woman. She's wondering that my relevance is being taken away. So that's why, even in marriage, contracting a marriage, the age gap between you and your spouse, it's always advised that it's not beyond 10 years, so that both of you are going through, coming of age about the same time. So you tend to understand difficulties and you now talk about it. And when you recognize it and you speak about it, go to your family physician when you notice these things, and then they'll call a family meeting and advise everybody. It looks that you're not able. That family meeting is just between you and your family physician. They're not taking your issues out of there, and not that you're not able to take care of your issues as a man in the family.
but like you just want light to be thrown to what you people are going through at that point, and it helps to resolve issues for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to invite our ES to round off this session before we go into cutting of the cake.
I think there should be a bigger round of applause for property. It's very surprising to me that there are more men in the hall than women. There are more men interested in this discussion. But the most, I didn't hear much, but the only one I heard was that women should leave alcohol alone. I heard it very clearly. And they also said they have warned that alcohol causes cancer only for women. There's nothing for them. And I want to thank you for bringing this warnings. We have been warning them, they don't want to hear. Well, if two guest speakers discharge themselves applicably.
Yes.
And when their certificates were being read, we wanted to know if they live up to expectation. Did they live up to expectation? So we want to thank them. We will continue to make the International Women's Day something that women should look up to in May, because it's a period for teaching and learning. And it's also a period for exchange of ideas. It's also a period to celebrate women that have accomplished. And these two prominent women that were brought in here, epitome of role models that should be emulated in society. So when you see some women hanging around the road, dressing nakedly and walking around, they don't represent the women folks. But these two women represent all the Nigeria. So I'd like to thank you sincerely for coming, and I'd like to thank you for sharing your diverse experiences. On the issue of health, we've taken a lot of notes, and we don't need to wait for International Women's Day to be having these talks. We'll be discussing with the relevant departments to make this a routine from time to time, to be reminding us of what we need to do to keep fit, to keep ourselves alive. And for career and guidance and counseling to be part of our routine is also very important, especially for the younger ones that are joining the service. The service is a very long journey. You make a wrong mistake, a wrong choice, you miss it and you miss it and you become miserable. So both health and career have a very important meeting point, which is the focus of this discussion we've had today. So I'd like to, on your behalf once more, thank Director Mrs. Sezinwa Okorafor for a job well done. You're a very good ambassador of FIDA. You're also a very good ambassador of the organization. So one day, in fact, we have them in 90 women will be invited to deliver lecture and bring this kind of party. And I can see among us, already we have some of them who can be in the management, but I want to see more leaders emerge from the younger generation, whom this today is essentially dedicated to. So thank you very much for listening, and thank you for paying attention. I do hope you do work out here without this bet. There are some points highlighted for women who are the younger ones, which we need to know. And listen very carefully. Apart from women should not drink, the other one I have was that you should know your job. She said it, that women should, for you not to be harassed, for you not to be laid down or put in a place where you think you don't belong, that you should know your job. Make yourself indispensable in your job. She said it. That when she gave the example of a horse being chased, like that you make yourself very indispensable. That they must always, and this is what happens to directors and chief executives. You keep seeing them calling on one person all the time. It's because they will think of who do I bring, and there won't be any story. They will give me this result and go away. Yes, likes this person. Yes, likes this person. Yes, likes results, not reasons. Yes. So when the person comes to no one is, I'll handle it, and they will handle it and give you a result, then you move on. But the other one, you know, we didn't have fluent today. The blind one is not coming. My leg is failing me. I went to history, yes, losing, no result. January to December. Towards January, they say they need promotion. To promote failure. No. So, and this is what is emphasized to do. She also said we should respect our environment. I just summarize it. If you walk into an environment and there are rules and regulations in that environment, obey. You have opportunity to change it too. But until you change it, obey. That's the way it is. It's one of the contentious issues in the National Assembly. They keep saying this is our rule, this is our rule, this is our rule. And if you are not a member of that Senate, you can't say the rule is gonna good or bad. If it's a rule, that's the rule. This is our rule. So this house has a rule, rules and regulations. Public service has a rule. You must obey it. You can't progress in service if you cannot obey the rules. And one of those rules are one, to get your job done. Obey your seniors and respect your seniors. There was also the issue of developing yourself. That's a lesson. Some of us here in this office came with first degree and they want to retire with first degree. That's their plan. But I'm afraid today that plan will not work. But I'm already here and I know people who come in with you, who will live here in the morning, I sign those permissions and I've never withdrawn them. They live here in the morning, come here, 5 o'clock, they head to school. Not for 1 or 2 years later, they appear with master's degree. And there is a position. And the only argument is that you came together. You came together to do what? You came together. He has Mr. Some of these are internet, some of them are missing. When I've gone abroad, we think they are wasting time. I didn't say don't go abroad, but go abroad and come back. Don't go there to remain. That's not what it is intended to. So developing yourself was emphasized. But above all, the medical doctor told us that you cannot achieve any of this if you are not healthy. And she asked us to move our body. She asked us what does it take to become healthy. We'll try to answer. If you want to know who is sick, go to National Hospital. For any of the hospitals, don't go to emergency and wait there for 2 hours. What you will see. But if you are not satisfied, go to mortuary. You know, so that you now appreciate what it means to get up in the morning, bath, dress up, eat food, walk to the office, and walk back. You don't know. You do not know. Never will you understand until the day, God forbid, you are not able to move. She said it, and she gave us various levels. So the one that was most interesting to me was, which she didn't emphasize, the various 8 stages in, is it 8 stages in the marriage? In life cycle. I am in one of them. I don't want to tell you. Here, you wake up in the morning, all the children are gone. Even like me that don't know how to boil water, even to lock door, to cook, block the gates, all the children are gone. And you just wake up, you look left and right. Is that your wife that you don't agree with? So it is a stage. And they are saying, what happens to you in service if that stage comes and you are not able to? And I'm using this opportunity to, not to women this time, to all the men, go and get married. You have got a job, you have got education, you have got a job, what are you waiting for? You can't find Go and get, listen, it's not a joke. Go and get married. You know, when you are going to retire now, you say we should give each other, your children are small. How are we going to do it? To shift public age retirement until your children grow. When are they going to grow up? So go and get married early. Marry early, raise your kids early. If the number of children you will need, that's what she emphasized. You do that for maybe you do the year. She emphasized good family. Good family means the number of children you can train. If you check any normal car, there are 3 seats and 1 in front. Your wife sits in the front. There are 3 vacant seats at the back. Any other person is an obstruction. So the maximum should be 3, but there is nothing wrong in 1 that you give some indication. Or 2, or you now give the minimum. If you have 20, one is a bricklayer, the other one is a conduction, the other one you just create unnecessary acrimony and distraction for the time. So she said that. So I can confidently say that this year's 2025 the Women's Day has achieved this topic. And therefore, I would like to thank finally once more our speakers and all our directors who kept patience and listened. And the younger ones that were also, there are some here, the way they were trained is that they will never listen to good advice. That's why they are not sitting here. They are chasing something that has nothing to do with why we're here. And it's unfortunate if any young lady, especially from this nation, is not seated here and listening to words of wisdom. Those who have seen it all. And pass through school, which you did, pass through youth service, which you did, pass through a period of searching for jobs, which you did, period of searching for husband, which they did, got husband, which they did, manage their husband, which they did, raise children, which they did, and raise children successfully, while also on their career. So give them another part of it. They really, but it's just on stage 1. You don't want to sit down and listen. If we had, most women have the opportunity to listen to people like this. They do well in life. But there are things you will avoid from day 1. You know, and more importantly, in this issue of self-confidence, they have also said we should find a way to relate well in our work environment. Now, when you relate well in a work environment, in the morning you are very willing to come to work. You don't create crisis in the home, you create crisis in the office. Your life will be cut off. And that's why you see some people who don't be working on quarreling. You look at people who get quarreling, you know what you like something like talking and shouting, you know, people. It's because there is problem at home and there's problem in the office. They don't know where else to go. So please, let's learn a lot from what has happened. And I'm very impressed for your patience. And I want to thank them once again. And thank our development partners that are here. And thank our directors. And thank you, more importantly, for listening. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the cutting of cake. I want to invite Seth to guide us on how this is going to be. But I just want to remind us that yesterday the Senate celebrated the International Women's Day, and the Senate President committed to implementing the 35% affirmative action. He also said that if it needs initiating an amendment of the Constitution and all of that, that they are willing to do that. So I think we're on course. We're on course. Forget the sexual harassment. We're on course. That can, shaking from commenting. So we're on course and step, please.
Thank you. Please, our dear distinguished guest speakers, we invite you to the podium. Yes, please. First of all. Thank you.
Well, we need to invite the local ones.
That's what
So that we don't have the politics. I already know the battles, but apart from them,
Okay. The other one, when that's one is
One from, one lady from each department. Young lady, so she's, but you don't start with teacher. Somebody from teacher. Somebody from, HR. Somebody from people market. It's all the finance, all the mandates, one person.
TPS.
Well, we also have that. Women cannot go to them. So you will also lose some men. So it's really fun. It's not one, it's one. I already see your awareness. You need a one, what's it, please call? No, please call, then, no, not you, sir. Please call, I need that to, how does call? And here, the police are, there's no man, there's one for there.
There's still, there's never. Another one. What's been good? Where, yeah. Yes. Again, when it's fair, it's moving well, it's still. So. No good. Okay, but when it well named. And all we have to name.
ONE women.
Next, it's like, when Sunday, feel of that. I didn't hear about it. Okay. That, I sure. I'll be getting to. Again, come over to Hampton's morning. But, see, our turn. Wow. Fantastic. It's good fun. Please get on that. The one with the post over here. That's a post on my ass now. Let me count to the hampshire action. This is a actually the country. Actually, okay. That's the background. The best student. Okay, okay.
Okay. Okay, action. This is macho, right? Hey, this is macho now. Listen. And now, let's
Ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the close of woman, we've come to the close of this inspiring Women's Day event. I want to take this moment to reflect on the journey so far. Over the course of the event, from the various food home messages representation, from our distinguished, amazing special guests, we learned to push and break barriers, support one another, and promote gender equality, inclusivity, maintain cordial relationships, and maintain our health. This should ignite the power within us to drive meaningful changes in our lives today. I therefore encourage everyone of us to continue supporting one another, advocating for gender equality, and striving for opportunities to uplift women. Together, we can break barriers and create a future where every woman has tools, resources, and confidence to thrive. We must take our health seriously. On this note, I must say thank you to everyone who made this program a success. To our dear ears, who is an ardent believer of gender equality, equity, and fairness, and women upliftment, I say thank you for organizing this event, sir. So our wonderful, distinguished guest speakers, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Your wealth of knowledge was impactful to us. Thank you. And to my director, Dr. Vita, thank you so much. You are a V14. You followed me on every step for approval for this event, so I must thank you, sir. And then to our senior manager, thank you for the support. It's been wonderful. To my dear colleagues, thank you. To the media, to CSOs, to our MDs, some of them have gone. We thank you all. The last word I would say is, let us therefore go, accelerate action, be courageous, be determined. We should unify, support one another, and we should put emphasis on our health, as we've learned today. The future is bright and it's in our hands to shape. Thank you. I think it's time to, okay, on this note, we have we have a gift for you. On behalf, sir, on behalf of Nancy,
Director Street is there. Yes, okay. Is that the she is?
Yes.
Appreciate that.
So.
For wonderful job they have done. Silver or gold, you don't have. But madam, can you please step forward for this recognition on behalf of the military management to ask your fellow lawyer, our director of legal services, to make this prosperity.
Thank you for the opportunity. On behalf of Nancy, I think today we've had a very, very, very useful and helpful session. We've learned a lot from you.
For me, you've been a mentor for a very long time, so it's not new. Said you worked with us at Singa. Throughout that period, you made a lot of impact in the work that we do. And so today, as Native, we have a very little token for you, just to appreciate what you are doing. You've been a shining light. And we know that it is in our place to always appreciate those who are shining lights for women and shining lights for our nation. So,
A louder applause. All on head of HR, Deputy Director, Interim Head of HR and Admin, Fatima Chairman. So you will know that everything about human resources. And when you see the budget, you'll be able to recommend that you should approve. Please make that decision.
Thank you very much, ma'am. The session this morning was very, very impactful for us. Thank you a lot for giving us tips on how to, for our well-being, how to take care of our mental, physical, and social health. I'm sure everybody will take whatever, everything you said to us basically and put it to good use. Thank you very much. Please accept it.
Well, for the rest of the audience, your own gift is a heaven. But you guarantee lunch this afternoon. Bye-bye.